everybody. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Who Gives a Dram. Got a special one this week, everybody. We got a special one this week. Few months ago, actually, last year, kind of a long time ago, we had the infamous. This episode was very popular in Canada. There were more people in Canada that downloaded this episode than the United States. We had the infamous Canadian Takeover. And we're doing it again today.
Again.
I got Darryl, a.k.a. Whiskey Sith, and Mike, a.k.a. Whiskey Morg here on the podcast live. Darryl sent some samples about 18 months ago that we are just getting to now. And we're going to crack them. We're going to drink them. And we're going to talk some bullshit. And I'm excited to get into it with you guys. So, fellas, I appreciate you both joining the podcast.
Super happy that we're finally getting to do this. Many months. Hopefully the samples haven't turned bad in the bottles. We're going to be talking JP Weiser's tonight, which is probably one of the biggest distilleries it is, I think, the biggest distillery in Canada, and it is always in the top one or two in North America, and it's quite a large one worldwide. Mass-produced Canadian whiskey. We're going to see what you think, Connor. I think, Mike, I don't know how much Weiser's you've drank in your lifetime.
I was going to say it's nice to have you as like the in-house expert, because I always kind of like toe the line where, like I said, originally I wasn't that into Canadian whiskey. I've been sold on a few products. I still have like my complaints. So you can hold my hand a bit going through this. I've had the 18, the other two I definitely haven't had. But it's good because I feel like the timing kind of worked out, because a couple months back I went to the that Toronto whiskey show, the Spirit of Toronto, and got to like bump into Don, and so like the master distiller for JP Weiser, Lot 40, and him and I got to chat a bit and have a few drinks. So I'm like, okay, I have a little bit more to bring to the table today because of that conversation. So thank you for prolonging this for several months.
we were like every few months we'd be like, all right guys, let's get this thing rolling, and then something would come up on my schedule or something would come up on one of y'all's schedules, and it's just like, fuck, real life sucks.
Real life does suck.
But I think mostly the problem was that Connor got really popular and just catapulted to another level. And this guy's hosting galas, and he's on the BWF podcast now, and it's just in a league of his own, this man.
Yeah, I wouldn't. Well, thank you. That mustache is new, and I think it looks good.
It does look good.
Stellar. And
I haven't even seen Top Gun, so I mean, be that as it may, I am not influenced by Top Gun at all. I appreciate the kind words. I wish I was Hollywood and famous, because I could quit my day job and do podcasting full time. But unfortunately, that's not the case. But
you look sharp, and that was the important thing at that. What was the event again? It was the.
We did the Bourbon Ball. It was called the Bourbon Ball.
The Bourbon Ball.
Back
yeah.
in.
I keep saying gala. But...
Yeah, it was kind of a gala. We all dressed up, got all pretty looking, and we had like 170 or 180 people there. We had about 80 VIP guests that did the private tasting, and we raised, after fees and shit, about $30,000 for Folds of Honor, which is a veteran-based charity in the United States. It was a very successful night, especially for it being the first time Paul and I had ever done something like that. And we actually already have the second one booked. I believe it's July 1st of next year at the Castle. And we've already got some big people going. A lot of cool stuff planned. I mean, I would say you guys should come down, but that's a trip from Canada, especially just going across the border. But you guys would definitely be treated well. I'll guarantee you that. So if you guys want to come down, let me know, and I'll hook you up.
I might take you up on that.
I would love it's the best thing is it's like a family event. Like we had well, obviously not like little kids, but like, a lot of husbands and wives, a lot of families with like older kids, with kids 21 and over were there. And it's like, it was just a fun, very comfortable time. and it's all going for a good cause. So I mean, like, it's all.
I think Darryl and I have to show up in Canadian tuxedos just to leave a lasting impression.
The amount of arousal that would be swept over me if that happened would be monumental, to say the least. I really hope you actually do that. Just show up both in the same car. Just get out with Canadian tuxedo. And I hope by Canadian tuxedos, because it's July, you mean a jean jacket and jean shorts with no shirt
like
underneath.
full like Shania Twain. But I think I might like mix it up and kind of do like a Goth Brooks kind of look mixed with Shania Twain. Yeah.
Cowboy hat as well.
I might do cowboy hat just because I think everything you do, I've seen you pull off these looks, and I'm like, for instance, like the mustache thing, I was always considering like leaving it a little bit longer, but I don't have like the connection here, right? So kind of like if I leave it, I look like more like V for Vendetta mask than...
Dude, that's sick though. Women love that. That's, you know what that is? That's like, so like I'll just have the stupid like mustache look. Darrell's a lumberjack. Yeah. I mean, I've seen pictures of his yard that he's posted on Instagram, and he's a lumberjack. So he's got the sexy grizzly bear lumberjack thing going on. And then, dude, you'd be like the mysterious V for Vendetta. Like, is he going to kill me? Is he going to make love to me? Is he going to do both? What's he going to do? That would be awesome. You should do that.
Dude, like I'm going to come out a whole new man after this podcast. You're going to see my next live just completely change.
Yeah.
Darryl, you should do on TikTok. There's a guy, I forgot his name, but he's pretty handsome and he chops wood and all the girls love it. And he's always wearing like tight jeans, suspenders, and he's tall, long, dark, and handsome. You know, he's a handsome fella. You should do that, because I feel like you're the Canadian equivalent, but like realistic expectations of like, hey, I got kids, you know. And do I have perfect abs? No, but still, look at this. And then you fucking chop a piece of wood in one hit, and then you just fucking take your suspenders down like the Big Show.
Set the bush latte off to the side and just go for it.
Is that what you drink?
Yeah, if I'm gonna cut wood, yeah, that's what I'll be doing.
A bush latte, not a Diet Miller.
No, not a Diet Miller.
Fuck, man.
It's Miller. It's the champagne. You got to go High Life.
That is true. That is true. I forgot today I had a 6-pack of Miller Lite in my truck for 2 days, and it's been very hot here in Rhode Island. And I put them in the fridge because, like, I don't know, maybe someone will come over. I don't drink beer. Mm-hmm. I'm on like a very, very strict health kick right now. Like, I had disgusting turkey and rice for dinner. It was gross. The turkey was like ground turkey was fucking awful, and I hated eating it. I only ate like half of it. And I was just like, I tried putting teriyaki sauce on it, didn't work. And then I tried putting barbecue sauce on it, didn't work. And I was just like, ugh, rough. But
when you're getting that bland turkey, bland chicken, just in the oven, and you're just relying on hot sauce, no, it's tough.
Bro, not even in the oven. I fucking cook it on the stove in a pan.
I always joke that like when I met my wife, like, so I guess it was like, well, we reconnected. We know each other for years, but when we reconnected like 4 years ago, she met me and I was on this health kick, and I was just like, I was single, I was living on my own. I barely ate in the first place, but I was training hard. So it was like literally I lived off of like a chicken breast, a protein shake, and I was ripped. Like I'll DM you guys some pictures later. But I'm like, what,
please do.
Was that ever deceiving? Because like after that, like once I locked her in, it was just downhill. And I just like completely embraced the dad body. Even before I became a dad, like was just kind of slowly easing into it. So,
bro,
Connor's on his uphill before he meets that woman.
I seen young me, and not young me, like 5 years ago me in Connor, where it's just like, dude, like you're doing your thing, living your life. No one's like obstructing your goals. You can just, if you want to eat that shitty turkey, you eat that shitty turkey. But then once you get locked on that relationship, it's like, babe, I want to go for dinner tonight. And you're like, oh, I guess, yeah, we can go out. And I'll just,
that's when I'm like, hell no, bang. At least it's with an open hand, so it's not rude, you know?
Apparently, yeah, that's what they say.
That's what they say, right? I don't say that. That's what they say. Who are they? I don't know, but that's what they say.
Oh, we know who it is. I think the initials are AH. Maybe an Amber Heard.
Oh, yeah. So
it's not
funny
not
story
really
about
a punch.
that. funny story about that. I on the pod last night, we had a guy, what the hell's his name? It's Puya something. He runs the Sip Awards, which is a whiskey award thing where they have like regular people judge. It's a cool concept, and he's a really cool guy. And he has no shit. We were just talking about reels before, like going viral and stuff before I pressed record. He has the 11th most watched reel in Instagram history. His reel has 82 million plays, and it's a reel of him. We'll play it. We'll give him some free pub. And he's pretending to give Amber Heard some coke, sneaks it in, and then he gets some money back. And then the best part is here when he looks at her, he's like, "Hey, bitch, you got something on your fucking nose." All right. Walks away. Yeah. Legendary. Right there. 4 million likes. Like,
that's why I'm not going viral, man. I'm not producing the content like that. Like me pouring WLW is just it's bland as the turkey.
It's too niche. It's too niche.
Yeah. Well, you get a bunch of like the 50-year-old whiskey guys who are like, "Oh yeah, brother." And it's like the same thing. Like if I post something, I'll have like a lot of like old, not a lot, like but like I'll have certain older women comment or DM, and it's just like, I'm kind of into it, man.
Dude, you're in your prime where you can choose like which direction you want to go in. And
I know. And you know what it is? It's because of the mustache. It's because of the mustache, honestly.
It's
like I feel like because I had a beard. I mean, obviously, definitely for the amount I've known both you guys for. Darryl, I've known you for probably almost 2 years now. Mike, well over a year.
Yeah,
I've always had a beard. That whole time when I started the pod, I had a beard. Sometimes it was kind of short, sometimes it was big and burly, and then I decided just to go with the mustache one day. And I was like, I kind of like looking like at the like my jaw, like
dude, you can't cover that jawline. That's like.
I thank you. I'm glad we got that on record, and I didn't ask you to say that.
I joke around like
money. No,
this wasn't pre-planned.
I'll Venmo you after this.
You can send me some of those media kits that you're getting.
Yeah, I know, right?
But I always joke that like I was never blessed with like a chiseled jaw. So like even the facial hair that I do, it's all to create shadows and illusion of a jawline. Like, yeah, like, like those apps where they take away your facial hair, like disgusting. Like I put it on. I think even my wife was like, "I will leave you." And I was like, "Okay, I'm just gonna leave this. I'll just leave this right here."
Yeah. All
those memes of people who rely on beards and stuff. That's me.
Darryl, I think I saw a picture of you without a beard. I think a long time ago, I was going through your Instagram. It's like going way back. And I saw a picture of you without a beard or a short beard, or maybe it was your wife or something.
My wife doesn't have a beard.
Well, hey,
have a beard.
I do not want to get in trouble from Mrs. Whiskey Sith because I've never met her, but I can just like, she'd probably beat me up. But
Darryl isn't going to the bourbon ball.
Yeah, no, Darryl's invited. Well, yeah, if she doesn't let him, that's a good point. But she should come. It's in a castle. What better way? It's like, hey, wife. Hey, Miss Whiskey Sith. Hey, Miss Whiskey Morgue. What's better than to dress up and go to a castle and help out some veterans and for a good cause, and then you get to see content as well.
Yeah,
it's pretty solid sales pitch.
The last
but I saw a picture. I saw a picture
like
of you
8 years ago, and my daughter lost it. I
saw a picture, Darryl. I swear to God, I saw it.
Yeah, it's probably somewhere on my personal Instagram.
I think the only time I saw something was you might have done a throwback to like I don't know if it was like your anniversary or something. And I think it was like a wedding picture that I saw.
Maybe that's it.
Yeah.
Maybe that's it.
It was like short. I don't know if it was completely gone, but.
So what?
Back when I was in shape.
You're still, dude. You're like. So no homo, obviously, but like, dude, you're in good shape. You guys are both good-looking cats. You know that.
I don't know where this is going.
I'll tell you where it's going.
I'm looking up old pictures of us.
I'll tell you where this is going. I'm gonna send you my address. I'm gonna play some Marvin Gaye.
Pour some wine.
I'm gonna get a Cabernet, and
I feel like
just
the bathroom selfies I took back in the day with me with abs might have a lot more currency now that you've been talking a little bit more.
Dude, you gotta send me those. You gotta send me that picture.
Mike's down for anything as long as it's free whiskey. He will
That's
give
what
you
I'm
whatever
saying.
you want.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
right there.
I got a higher price.
I just want to review it for the people. I just want to pair it with movies for the people. That's it. Even if at the expense of
losing your dignity
for Connery.
Oh yeah, there's one from like 2016 where I've got a pretty short beard golfing.
Yeah, I can't find them. I'm just quickly scrolling through your IG right now. I can't find it, but I saw it. Anyways, I don't even remember where I was going with it. But have you guys recently gotten any good bottles out there in Canada? Have you scooped anything up that's worth noting?
What do you want to know about?
I don't know. Anything good that you scooped up? Like obviously, Mike got the William Llewellyn rubbing in all of our faces, so we know that.
No, I actually I just picked up the Spirits of French Liquor,
oh yeah,
the one I posted today. The one, like, not to plug that I just posted today, because I mean we know that doesn't matter for Instagram and the algorithm anymore. But no, that bottle's really good. So like I guess I haven't had many 4 grains, and kind of having that kind of fresh off of like Penelope.
I was gonna say you've had Penelope, and that's all 4 grain.
Yeah, no, and I love Penelope stuff. But this one here, getting to talk to like Alan the other night, it was like I know they call him the alchemist, but like for good reason. Like this guy, I was almost scared to do the live, because I'm like, if he wants to like go down the rabbit hole into distillation and experiments and stuff, like the guy like created his own corn to use in the mash bill. Like it's a hybrid of 10 different corns, and I'm just like, it's wild, but the stuff's really, really good. So I was like, I was sold already kind of like on the background on it, but like, it was good stuff. And I'm like, right away I tasted it, because I got to taste it without buying it at first. And I was like, no, I'm grabbing a bottle right away.
Yeah, there's some pretty cool stuff coming in here. You're more, I've got a lot of different brands than Mike has. But I really like what Boulder's creating out of Colorado, Boulder Spirits.
I've heard great things. Have never had anything, but I've heard great things.
They're making some killer stuff. Woody Creek, making some great, probably one of the best rye whiskeys I've ever had. Came from them.
Speaking of best whiskey, so I had a pick, and I don't remember what, I think it was an 8-year age stated. It was a single barrel pick from Wilderness Trail that was picked from Jack Rose. And Jack Rose is a very large whiskey bar in Washington, D.C. And it's just like, I posted an Instagram story. When I was in D.C. back in May, I posted a story about it, but it was like, because I was there. And it's like just walls of whiskey, 10,000 bottles.
Frank Burb Your Enthusiasm was just there. He did that dusty tasting. And I've seen a few clips of it, and it was just, he did like a whole dusty tasting. And I don't know if it's still, I think he posted a reel about it. Go check it out. Like, I will. Like full on, just watching
like
that
floor
reel.
To ceiling. Yeah. It's all. I posted a video of it on TikTok now I think about it. But anyways, I had a pick that they did at Wilderness Trail. I'm pretty sure it's an 8-year pick, and I took one sniff of it and I was like, oh, and I took one sip of it and I was like, oh, and I think it's the best whiskey I've ever had in my entire life. And I messaged I know the brand ambassador for Wilderness Trail, and I messaged her. I was like, dude, I just drank some of your whiskey. That's just a random single barrel. Like, that's not even the most recent single barrel. And I basically just came in my jorts. Like, it's some of the best stuff I've ever had in my life. I'm trying to find a picture of it.
People have been going off about, even just in general, the 8-year, like Eric sending me up a sample, and everyone seems to be blown away by their 8-year release.
Not even in general,
people love Wilderness Trail.
It's 4 year. It was a 4-year, 8-month with a number 4 char and Firm Pro 1 yeast strain. I know Wilderness Trail, there's different yeast strains or
Mhm.
proprietary yeast strains and stuff like that. But man, I can't wait to review it because it literally tasted like a root beer float. It smelled and tasted like a root beer float, and
That's awesome.
It's like, wow,
there's just like, you know what, like I feel like in especially when now you're reviewing whiskeys all the time and we're trying to like get to as many as possible. It's like you think there's ones that you are hunting or you'd love to try one day, and then you get them and they're like good, but it's a little lackluster. But then like I remember like I recently had like a Russell's pick, like a 10-year Russell's pick, and just sat there and I was like, shit, this was like $55 for like a 10-year product, a pick.
Yeah.
And this like deep oak and leather. And I'm like, this is what like it's all about. And this is what got me into it. And like, here I am chasing around other shit and picking up a $55 pick at 10 years. I'm like, you can't beat it. So you have these moments where you kind of stumble upon that, not to say like the bottle's not special. I mean, but you'll find like a pick or one of these that just like, for some reason, it just resonates with you, it pops out and you're like, yo, this changed my life. Like, this is good. This is good stuff right here.
Dude, I agree so much. Let's jump into some of these JP Weisers now because I've got the 40% poured, and let's bang through these. Darryl, you're going to mediate because
I'll do my best.
You know the stuff, but walk us through a little bit of the 18-year 40% alcohol pour. I'm assuming we'll just go by proof. I just kind of assume that's how we'll go.
We can go by proof or by a release.
Yeah.
We might want to do the 23 and then the 22 after.
Okay.
So the 18-year-old, it's your classic Canadian. You're going to get ethanol on the nose. Once you dive past that, you're going to get into some vanilla and stuff. Contrary to...
so detailed.
Yeah.
Vanilla and stuff.
Like you can go into like, oh, I get these floral arrangements and stuff. But honestly, like most of us are getting oak, corn. You might get rye. You won't on this one. Most people think there's rye in this. It's a 100% corn whiskey.
No shit, really?
Yeah.
Darryl, I think you get marzipan.
Oh, marzipan.
Oh my God, it tastes like...
Don't let Dark Cloud whiskey hear that.
Tastes like corn water. It literally doesn't taste like anything.
It's 40%. It's gonna go down easy. It's great to mix with. It's great to blend with.
Yeah. This would be great in like a whiskey sour.
Blend it with rye whiskey. Then the oak really comes out. But this is probably the lowest I go in the Canadian chain of years or age stated stuff. As you get lower than this, it just gets more ethanol-y, you just get that ethanol burn. So
what's insane about it is that it's 18 years old.
No, when I was looking at this lineup, I was thinking that exact same thing. I'm like, if this was any other category and someone said, hey, let's just do this fun podcast, we're going to shoot the shit and drink an 18-year-old, a 22-year-old, and a 23-year-old. You're like, what? And then like you hear the prices on it and like, okay, yeah, they're more steep for Canadian whiskey, but like go to the Scotch category or even bourbon, anything, and try to get something past 15 years of age and what you're spending on it. And I'm like with the most expensive bottle here, Darryl, is what would you say? Like you paid like 150, 160?
Yeah, the two cast strengths are 150.
Yeah.
So this one's $70. When you compare it to say a Caribou Crossing, I don't know if you've had that one, Connor or Mike.
I had actually I meant to text both you guys because I had the opportunity to get one at my liquor store that's literally 30 seconds down the road from my apartment, and it was like $60. And I was like, I don't fucking need this. I could spend $60 on gas this week. Did I make a wrong decision?
I've never had it, and it's only because I feel like, again, where I get kind of annoyed is, and maybe this is why Canada gets a bad rap, is here you have a product that's like Sazerac produced, and you're like, okay, like Buffalo Trace has their hands in it. Let's have something like Canadian to showcase, and they water it down to 40%, 80 proof, and like I haven't had it, but I'm sure I'm not like I'm too deep into what we drink to kind of go.
We're too much of alcoholics to drink 40%. Let's be honest.
Exactly. That's exactly what I'm
saying. My issue that I've always told people with Caribou Crossing is up here it's $100, so you're paying 60. It's quite marked up to come up here. Obviously, we don't want to sell it against our own products. I would peg it below the 15-year-old JP Weisers. The 15-year-old JP Weisers is like $45.
Okay. What's this 18-year-old?
The 1870.
Wow. $17 for $70. That's a 17. Now we're talking mellow corn. $70 for a 40. That's what, see, I don't know if I'm just being a proof whore when I say, like, I don't know if I'd ever pay $70 for an 80 proof whiskey.
Well, the problem is like, I think like, no, I agree. But then I think like, you know, where Scotch, they, like if you get a product that's like, you know, 80 proof in Scotch, I find like there's a lot more nuanced flavors there. Cause like sometimes I'll be drinking stuff that like when I dip into like more of the Scotch stuff, I'm like, oh, this is fantastic. And it's like 43%, 45%. But I feel like there's so much going on where like the more I'm sipping this, I'm just kind of like, it's just kind of like, yeah, like a watered down vanilla. Like
it's nice.
The standard,
yeah. A little bit of oak spice. So yeah. Canadian whiskey on a whole, to be defined Canadian whiskey, it's basically has to smell like Canadian whiskey and has to taste like Canadian whiskey. That's like kind of our standards to really sum it up. Not getting into all the regulations and everything.
There's at least one beaver hair in each bottle. And it just dissolves because of the alcohol.
Two drops of castor oil.
2 drops of what?
Castor oil. Just for flavor. But yeah, it's so you'll find it, they all kind of have that similar Canadian taste. Whether they have rye in them or not, it's kind of, people get pissed off because most Canadian whiskeys are called rye whiskeys and they don't have rye in them at all. This one, they don't say rye on it. So it's nice to see that they didn't say that.
So what's interesting is this is one that I was talking to Don about. So at the Spirit of Toronto show, we were chatting and amongst several things about like releases coming up and stuff. Somehow we started talking about the 18 and he expressed that he wants to bump it. He's fighting with them right now to bump it to 50%, 100 proof. And he feels that like there you will get more, and rightfully so, you'll get a little bit more punch of the flavors within it. I think he sees, what I've learned about talking to him is that he got all this recognition with those big like lot 40 releases, but you realize that he's a part of a much larger body. So it's interesting kind of chatting with what he wants. And he's like, yeah, like this is a little bit watered down. I think at 50%, it'll just hit the spot and will be a great product. But then he's against everybody there in marketing research and this and that and development. And they're like, no, Don, like you're a great master distiller, but we're just going to keep it at 40% and sell it like that because we've been doing it forever.
And that's what sucks about the mass distilling. You got a guy that knows exactly where it should be for the best taste, best bang for your buck at that age statement. And you've got the corporate suits saying no. Whereas like a craft distiller is going to be able to be like, nope, this is what I'm releasing.
It's funny because like, and I'm not to shit on anyone, but like, I remember at one point, because like in that tasting he did, I didn't attend that one. I attended the Michter's because I wanted to be a Michter's whore on Instagram and hold the 20-year-old in my hand and try to increase my popularity. But in his tasting there, he had a bunch of experimental stuff, and he was saying that what's crazy is that like he's created these things. He has an idea of what he thinks people will like. He's engaging with people, and he's like, you see those two people over there, and there's like two young people, like suit and tie. He's like, oh, they're there to view and then determine what the audience liked the most. And he's like, it's not even me. It's like those two people standing over there who have nothing to do with distillation, like anything in terms of making the whiskey. But they get to decide for, I guess it's like the higher powers of Corby or whatever. So it was kind of cool talking to him and kind of, I guess, getting the person more, like aside from him being master distiller, kind of like if he had his own choice, aside from the larger body, like what he would do with it. So yeah, this one was interesting because we were like, dude, like 50%, I feel like this could have a little bit more, and maybe it's something that I would pick up for an 18-year-old product that packs a little bit more of a punch.
Yeah.
Well, that's probably a pretty good intro into, we want to.
Yeah. What are we doing next?
If we want to jump to the 23-year-old.
Okay. JP Weiser, 23.
Yeah. This is the first the first cast strength whiskey that Weiser's ever released. It's 23 years old. It actually is corn and rye whiskey blended together. It's part of their rare cast series, and it comes in at a 64.3.
Yeah, you'll feel this in your nuts.
This one's punched right up.
That nose right away is just okay. Now we're talking.
Now we're cooking with fucking peanut oil.
So this is where you start to see why, like John would be saying, like, we need to punch this stuff up. People are looking for proof in their whiskeys. He sees what's happening in the States.
Yeah, there's a lot of proof sluts out here. I think I'm one of them, but no, I'm not, because honestly, the Elijah Craig B521 was 116 or 18 proof. And it was one of the best Elijah Craig barrel fruits they've released in the past like 3 years. And then the C921 was fantastic as well.
I just tried that up against the A120. So the A120 I have is like almost hazmat. It's like 68.
I think I have it too. Yeah.
Yeah. But then I tried that one at the whiskey show actually. And I was like, I actually prefer this a lot more. So
it's great.
Yeah. There was a point where I was literally just chasing, like, I want hazmat. Don't get me wrong, I'll still entertain hazmat, but you do realize that, like, where you start getting in the flavor, at least for like a lot of these other whiskeys, it's really over the 50% mark. Like I said, unless it's Scotch, then I can accept lower. But for the most part, I want something above 50.
Or a weeded bourbon, like a lot of like Weller Special Reserve has a lot of flavor to it. No, some people don't like it. Weller 12 has a lot of, I just picked up, has a lot of flavor to it.
Yeah.
Even Larceny's small batch, which is, I think 90, I forgot what it is, but it's,
I think it's 90. I think it's 45.
I'm pretty sure it's 90 or 92, but that has a lot of flavor to it as well. So like a lower proof weeder I can handle, but I was the same way. I used to be like, I need to get 130 plus to have anything, because I'm a man and I have a mustache, and I need to talk like Sam Elliott 100% of the time. And then I was like, wait a second, but I really like 110 to 120, or like even like 100 to 120.
It's your go-to proof, right?
I think that's what I like the most.
Yeah.
Like Colonel
week,
Taylor to like rare breed.
Yeah. There was one week where I had a whole bunch of like different bottles. Unintentionally, I was like, well, I'm on a good roll of like really enjoying these bottles. And I looked, and they all happened to be about 55%. And I was like, maybe that's my sweet spot, like 110. I think like maybe is like where it's just enough that, you know, there's a ton of flavor there, but you're still there's room to unpack everything.
Yeah. And what I like about buying like the cast strengths and the barrel strengths is I've got many friends that don't drink that level. So I can enjoy like 120 proof or 130 proof and then pour them and just run the calculation of how much water to bring it in. If they like drinking 46%, I'll bring it down to that for them so they can still enjoy the whiskey the way they want.
See, that's a sign of like maturity. I feel like if there's a hierarchy here, there's Connor, there's me, and then there's Darryl. And I feel like Connor would take out a water bottle and splash it and splash it in your drink if you want to water it down. Whereas like Darryl's like, okay, you want to hone it in at around
drip
45, 46,
half a drip somehow. They'll like stop a drip halfway.
It's quite a bit more water than you think to start to water down. I think like
if someone says, hey, can you put water in my whiskey? I'll say, hey, can you get out of my life? And then we stop talking.
See, now you are a proof snob. It's official.
No,
it's official.
I just, okay. Darryl, you're probably right. But well, no, it might be true because it's like, dude, I'm already offering you free whiskey, especially if it's coming from my house. And it's like, you want me to do extra work when I'm giving you free whiskey? Get out.
You can have them at it.
Well, if they want to take some, a water bottle, do it themselves. But if they say, hey, I think this would be good with more water, it's like, put some water in it. They ask me to do it. I'm like, dude, you're lucky I don't give you a uppercut right now to the gut.
So much violence. So young. So
I know.
violent.
I know. I think I have problems.
But I've
you
also learned that,
I'm
like,
just gonna go hit
what
the
I
speed bag.
I do, dude. I did a heavy bag
He's
workout
hitting the
today.
speed bag. Yeah.
I saw your video the other day.
Yeah.
What I've learned is that, like, everything that I've imagined, like, I think I mentioned this before, but like when I started building my bar, I was like, when people come by my house, they're gonna be like, oh, dude, don't even tell me that's Weller CYPB in the corner. And I'm like, yeah, man, I got it. You want some? And I'm gonna offer it up to everybody, right? Now I sound like the perv offering candy. Like, you want some? But like, I was like so excited that I'm gonna have like everybody come over my house, and like most of my friends, I think I have like 2 like real whiskey drinking friends, and then my brother. They know all the product I have. They're into the same stuff, but everybody else is just like, first of all, why in the fuck do you have this much whiskey? And then they're looking at bottles, and you forget, like, we're so deep into it. They're like, 60%? What? Like, what is this even? And then I end up having, like, to the right of me, I have like my bottom shelf stuff. And I'm like, that's the stuff that I end up pouring people more than anything. They come by and I'm like, okay, like, do you want any of these whiskeys? I'm like, this is highly sought after, this bottle here. And they're like, do you have like rum? And I'm like, okay, I'll make you a rum and coke.
Yeah, all right. Yeah. It's They pour them something, you pour them like a fantastic pour, and they're like just kind of sipping it, and it's like,
Burns.
You got Coke? You got Coke? Like,
yeah.
You got some ginger ale or something? Because
and I got no problem with that. If that's what they want to do.
Yeah, no.
I mean, I've taken like what was it? Like the Alberta Premium, like won all those awards or whatever. And it makes a fantastic rye and ginger. Like,
I took Colonel Taylor small batch a few weeks ago. I posted an Instagram story about it. I was like, Colonel Taylor whiskey sour, is this blasphemous? And put a poll, yes or no. And probably 40 or 50 people voted no. But then there were like 5 or 6 people that voted yes. And I had 2 people reach out to me via DMs, like, dude, why are you wasting good whiskey? And I was like, block. Like, get out of here, you fucking moron.
I forget who I was talking to. I don't think it was you, Connor, but yeah, I mixed Special Reserve and 107 like in a video and posted on this like bourbon Facebook group, and like people were like, can the admins flag this guy? He needs to go.
Darryl,
can you kick him out?
The same thing happened. I did that reel where I was starting my infinity bottle, and by chance I had Special Reserve and Antique kicking around. I had the heels of them, and I threw them in, and I didn't know this was a thing, but people blew up my DMs, and they're like, what are you doing? Why are you mixing those things together? And those are like the moments where I'm like, fuck you. Like, and you know, like, as much as I enjoy this, we could talk about notes and all that shit. I'm like, I'm here to have fun. And at the end of the day, you know what this is about? Like, us 3 having some drinks and shooting this shit. So when people get all like rigid about the rules and what you can do and what you can't do, I'm like, if you want to put small batch in, you know, in a sour, do it. You know what I mean? Like, why the fuck not?
Yeah. I'll put fucking Stag Junior in a whiskey and Coke. I don't give a shit if that's what I'm feeling. But
yeah, whiskey's meant to be drank
the way you want to drink it. I stand by that 1000%. I'll never judge anyone for putting water in their whiskey. But
He'll
if you
just
ask
kick you out of your house if you ask him to do it.
If you ask me to do it,
don't ask Connor to do anything for you, because you're gonna get an uppercut and kicked out.
If you ask me to do it, then all of a sudden, like, I morph while I'm standing there from me to Anderson Silva, and then shit goes down. Or no, because it's a Canadian takeover. I'm sorry. I morph into George St. Pierre. Sorry.
Yeah, there we go.
Sorry, guys. Sorry. So, Darryl, what exactly? We'll move on to the next whiskey here in a second. But on this 23-year-old, what are we supposed to be tasting on this?
You're gonna get the corn. You're gonna get. I haven't even tasted it yet. You're gonna get rye.
I've taken a lot of sips.
That's why he's getting so violent.
Yeah, I'm a violent drunk, you guys. Sorry.
I get a lot of rye in it. It's pretty rye forward for me.
Mm-hmm.
Less corn in it. You do get the corn ethanol on the nose. It's got
an
amazing mouthfeel for me.
It does. It's super creamy. It almost reminds me of the.
That's what she said.
I knew. I was like, I need to get the next part out.
Yeah, he wasn't fast enough.
It kind of reminds me of the Alberta Premium. Obviously that's obviously a complete rye, but like in that sense, like that almost like artificial sweetness, not in a bad way, but it's just like so overtly sweet that it almost tastes like there's something artificial about it. But and that's always what I pick up when I do like the Alberta Premium pours. But I'm getting a little bit on this one as well.
Yeah.
I think it's more age. Obviously, it's more aged than those because those are quite young.
Mm-hmm.
But it's smoother. It doesn't have the burn that some of the Alberta Premium cast strength.
Yeah.
It's very
some of those
well-rounded.
finishes are.
Yeah, but for being 23 years old, there's almost no oak on it. There's almost no barrel like signature on it. There's no woody taste. There's no barrel spice. It is mostly rye spice. And there's no like barrel aspects. I feel like if you're 23 years old, you would think, oh, this is going to pull from the wood like a motherfucker. But no, it doesn't at all.
Yeah. And I think that's because not knowing what barrels it went into, I would say their second fill, maybe third fill.
Mm-hmm.
They would not be virgin oak. Because
they called me in high school.
I have a 15-year-old
virgin oak.
I'm just gonna breeze right past that.
Sorry, Darryl.
He just walked around. I have a 15-year-old JP Weiser's that has a ton of oak in it.
Really? Yeah.
They only release it at the distillery right now. And I think it goes in virgin oak for a few years to get that oakiness out of it. But this one you can tell it's older. It's like Mike, I don't know, Connor, you may have come across them too, the 11 and 12-year-old lot 40s that really had that rye funk in it. It's hidden within this 23-year-old. So that really intrigues me with this one.
Yeah, it's like
also savoring the bottle because it doesn't exist anymore. It was a one-time release, and the 23-year-old won't come out again.
So are we going to the 22-year-old next, and then we'll end off with the Alberta Premium?
I sent you Alberta Premium?
You sent me Alberta Premium batch number 3.
All right. Or Mike might have sent you that.
Is that your logo on it?
Okay, I sent you it. So
I think we're doing 22.
The 22. This is the first time I've poured it. Your guys' samples are fresh cracked bottle.
Oh, fuck yeah.
This one is
this is a finished, right? Yeah.
So this would be basically, my guess is very close to the 23-year-old blend, and then finished in port casks.
Hells yeah. Okay, so it's got a red neck on. Oh yeah, you can
the color difference.
Clearly see the color. Holy
23,
shit.
22. I'm gonna just do the rest of the cast like this. That's fun. This one's 59.7%, so a little less on it, but again, it is as they say, a melody of corn and rye.
I get the port on the nose right away.
I do too, but not as much as I thought I was gonna get. I wonder how long it's aged for in a port cask.
Yeah, being big distilleries, they don't put any of that on the bottle.
It's proprietary something. Well,
and since it's not for sale anymore, I think it was originally on probably the JP Weiser site. I don't think it is anymore.
They did a post recently, and they were talking about how many barrels they have right now aging, and I forget the number, but it was ridiculous. Like, it would put any distillery in Kentucky to shame, I'm pretty sure, in terms of like the volume. Yeah, it's wild.
Even
because,
Buffalo Trace.
Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised. Like, I have to find the post. They put a post out there and kind of said how many barrels they got going, and like, even if you've been there, it's literally like industrial. It's just like they make Malibu in the same place. Like, it's just pumping stuff out. Yeah, and they're contracted. Do you remember who they have? I think they produce for a few different brands, but like, yeah, it's industrial.
Did you guys hear the news, speaking about producing for a few other brands, did you hear the news about Green River being bought by Bardstown?
Yeah, but that whole thing with so I was like, when I heard about that, I was like, okay, interesting. Maybe it's just to kind of like put it under portfolio exposure, but then master distiller dips. And
so here, I'm going to say this because this is my podcast and I don't give a fuck what anyone thinks.
Yeah, you do it, bro.
I talked to Jacob Call in person at length. I met him.
Yeah, because you were there.
Podcast. I was there. It was my first distillery tour ever. We got a full, like, I'm pretty sure we went places we weren't supposed to go. Went to a full, I saw some sex dungeon. We went a full, just kidding. Just kidding, by the way. If anyone of any importance. Yeah, there were chains. I was in them. And anyways, full tour. And we talked to Jacob, who's a great guy, by the way. Fantastic guy, very smart dude. Very rich in bourbon history, and it's in his blood, you can tell. Talked to him for an hour and a half on the pod, and then we had to record again because the audio got messed up. So we recorded again on Zoom, talked to him for another hour and a half.
That was the one where you canceled on us because it didn't record. I remember that now. Like we were supposed to do it, and you were like, yo, we did it on site, nothing recorded, and I literally have to record it tonight again with him.
Did I have to cancel this Canadian Takeover Part 2 for that? That was like 6 months ago. So that. Yeah, I was sorry, man. I'm sorry. But when I was talking to Jacob, you could tell just in the passion of his voice, the way he was like looking Paul and I in the eyes when we were there. It's like this guy loves the spot, and this guy is totally invested. So I told Paul when we both heard the news, I said, dude, this was definitely not Jacob's call. There's no chance that he wanted this to happen because he was so adamant about making this the brand it was. And then like a week later he leaves, and I don't know what he's doing now. I hope he's going on to bigger and better things because he has fantastic.
The non-disclosure till October supposedly. And then, so I guess he'll go quiet. And then in a couple months, he'll Jackie move and pop out with his new.
I'll support whatever he does, and he knows that he has our, our full support behind him. But like the green, like I got the Green River release that they did. Actually, he signed it for me. Is
nice,
awesome. And actually, that probably means this is worth a lot of money now, or not a lot, but maybe in like 25 years or something.
Yeah.
The former master distiller. It's already cracked open, but whatever. I don't know. It was just very strange to me when that happened. And it was like, going back to corporate aspects behind whiskey. That was definitely like a corporate, like this is going to give us exposure and money, and we can make more money. And we can each buy 2 super yachts instead of 1, and we can make a new Epstein Island now. So that's probably what.
Dude, I think right now, we're going to see more of that in the future. Here's me, like my predictions, my whiskey predictions, that craft is so huge right now, and there's so many people out there doing craft that it's almost like, I think the craft beer market saw it before us, where the big players scooped them all up. And next thing you know, like that craft beer you're drinking that you thought was still, independently owned is like being produced by Labatt or Molson or whatever, right? So I feel like we're going to see more and more of that. And sadly, usually the people funding it are people with money in their pockets, and it's not the master distiller who is passionate about the product. And if that payout's there, they're just like, wipe their hands clean, sell it. They're entrepreneurs, they're business people, and move on to the next.
You can't fault someone. You can't fault someone for wanting to make money. That's why you get into anything you do. But on the same token, and again, this is me just speculating, but I feel like when that's pulled away from you, which I'm fairly certain is what happened in Jacob Call's case, I can see why that would rub you the wrong way. And it's like, dude, what the fuck? Because they are a legit operation. They're producing Howler Head, which is the official whiskey of the UFC, I think. They're producing Quarter Horse. They're producing a lot of things. There was one other big one that I didn't know about that was like actually well known.
But the PR around it too.
Bradshaw. They also do Bradshaw bourbon, obviously, because that's where we did our barrel.
Come on, I haven't got my signed bottle, by the way. Of
nobody's gotten their say. You guys will both get one. No one has gotten one yet because life. There's been a lot of things. They're all at. So what happened? They're all at Paul's house because obviously they're not at my house, and he's having another kid at the end of the year. So
where's Paul, by the way? Is he
Paul's in right outside of Lexington. So like
okay?
I'll land at the Lexington airport because I'm going down to Kentucky, not this weekend, but next weekend. We're doing a on-site podcast and tour with another one with William Tarr, which is nice. Great. But someone actually bid at our bourbon ball $1,100 to do a private tasting at William Tarr of their experimental bottles and be on a podcast with us. So
nice.
I made the commitment that night while I was kind of drunk to fly down there, and I followed up on it.
You're like, yeah, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
I'm in, guys. I'm in.
I don't care what the prices are. I'm doing it.
But I think, see, here's the thing is like, I'm going to bring this back full circle is that where I think Darryl and I'm going to speak for Darryl a bit, is like, I think we want more of that. And maybe like, that's why we're really pushing craft stuff coming up, or like say like Darryl, especially with like a lot of like local craft stuff, because like we really don't get any of that here, where it's like, okay, we have these guys here, but if you want to go see a factory, like you can go visit and then buy something from the gift shop. But this idea of being able to be immersed in an experience and go for these kind of tastings or like picks or whatever that is, I feel like that's what we're deprived of. Not this is becoming a complaint department for Canadian stuff, but I feel like that's why, I mean, Darryl, I guess you could speak to it. Like, that's why you're so passionate about like the local stuff that's coming up and kind of making a ripple in the scene.
Yeah, there's a lot of local stuff that's not getting much publicity, unlike the craft world in the States. Weiser's does do a great distillery tour. You can book a blending session with Dr.
That's cool.
Don,
yeah, I haven't done it yet, but
hoping to do one at the end of the month. Not sure if it's going to work out. Where you create your own whiskey with him and he walks you through blending and what's going to work and stuff like that. Dave, who I used to podcast with, he just was down there. If you follow the bro laws at all, made his own special juice. But I think like we haven't adopted that whole, I was talking to a guy last night about it, like the whole marketing scheme of getting consumers into areas isn't really pushed up here yet.
Yeah.
And some of our greatest whiskeys, like I sent you guys, this is mass distilled whiskey. It's good stuff, but you get into like Two Brewers right there.
Yeah,
that is probably some of the best whiskey being produced in Canada, probably close to North America for single malts, and probably rivals, in my opinion and a lot of people's opinions, stuff that's coming out of Scotland.
Them and Shelter Point, I think are doing some cool things, and like I feel that's all, like honestly, not to like take up your schedule, Connor, but I feel like we could really start, and it'd be interesting to go more into that avenue, where like we do some of the mass stuff, but then I feel like, yeah, a lot of this craft stuff coming up. Like I know, so Lost Lantern, when I was talking with them, they kind of hinted at, like I feel like they're gonna go do a Two Brewers pick. So I asked if they'd like gone across Canadian borders, are they gonna kind of expand? And there was a kind of like a wink, nudge to Two Brewers. And if there's one thing I think Lost Lantern's good at, is really putting their finger on kind of like the buzz of like these really small distilleries. And I feel like Two Brewers deserves that attention. And like, yeah, like it definitely can rival stuff coming out of Scotland.
Yeah.
It's high praise.
Yeah, definitely. And like Grain Hedge too is doing some great stuff. So there's a lot of opportunity up here, just like the market's changing down in the States. Connor, you probably experience like it's hard to get stuff to go across state lines. There's certain states that you just can't do it. I think Texas is one of those states you can't bring alcohol over the border by shipping, that state border.
You can't bring firewood across the border in Connecticut. Like you have to pay something to bring firewood. I don't know if that's like a countrywide thing. Well, I think it's ridiculous, but
we're not supposed to take firewood out of certain like municipalities here or regions.
Why? That doesn't make sense to me. It's wood.
Just they say if it's carrying an invasive species, and
oh, that's bullshit.
But that's the problem. Is like I always said, like when I jumped into this, So I remember like, okay, let's talk about like lot 40 JP Weisers. At one point when I jumped into Instagram and I was doing my posts, I was doing like all bourbons, I think a few scotches. And then I said, you know what? I'm building a little momentum. And this is like, like over a year ago. I was like, I'm going to do some Canadian stuff because you know what? Like I'm in Canada. So then therefore I can send products to review and maybe I'll get these media kits and like absolutely nothing. And if you speak to most people who've done it, like you're not getting a media kit ever from like lot 40 JPY. It's few and far between. But here I am like on Instagram and like I said, like Stellum's like, we want to send you something, and Barrel and all these people are like, and I'm like, I'm not even in the US. Like, thank you. Like I'll try to work out my networks with people to get stuff sent up. But like there, it's a big deal to really get it in the hands of people and get it reviewed. Where, and obviously, like I said, like with you know, provinces and sending stuff and whatnot, but we kind of get gypped with that, where it's like here we have like whiskey enthusiasts like Darryl, like will be the first to push Canadian stuff and say like I stand behind it, especially if it's good. But now like getting it in his hands is a whole other thing. And you know, with the content that he's producing or his photography skills, like if it was an American company, I feel like it'd be like, take it, man, like keep doing your thing, like you're getting all this exposure.
I agree.
And I don't know, that's always been my complaint with Canada, right? I just feel like we kind of have it all backwards right now, in terms of kind of like being with the movement. Or maybe I'm just bitching because I'm on fucking Instagram and want free whiskey. but like, but yeah, it's wild how many American companies reach out to me, and I just have never got anything from Canada at all.
Yeah. And talking to some of the craft distillers, they want honest reviews. They're making craft. They know what they're up against in Canada, and they get hit up so much by people like, send me a bottle, I'll give you a good review. And they're like, much better success with, hey, I want to buy a bottle from you and give you an honest review. And they'll be like, I'm going to shoot you a bunch of samples, or I'm going to shoot you a bottle. But I wanted an honest review out of you. Just because you got it for free, I don't want you blowing smoke up my ass.
And dude, I tell people that all the time, because on the flip ends, me being in America, I get free shit all the time. And I'm going to say this because it's my podcast and I don't give a shit. I got sent shit from Clyde Mays, which is an Alabama whiskey, and it talks to LC May or something like that on the podcast. And you don't want to say like, dude, your shit sucks on live, but on the same token, I didn't really enjoy it that much. So I had to like scoot around like, it's got some different notes. That's how you go. That's how you do it.
It's not my favorite pour.
Listen, it's not my personal taste, but I can see why people would like this. Yeah. If you're a professional, that's how you say it. But in the back of my mind, I'm like, dude, I'm like, I haven't opened the bottle since then. And it's no like, guy's a great guy. He was fun podcast, really popular podcast actually. And it's like, I'm not, just because you send me stuff, I'm not gonna like, you know who does that to a T. I'm not sure if you guys know Bill Bender or not, but we've talked to him multiple times, like several times off the air. And it's like, dude, if someone sends me a bottle, I'm going to say, I'll give you an honest review. And that's that. I will not shit on the brand, but I'm going to give you an honest review if I like it or not. And for people who just take bottles or take money, it's like, all right, I'll give you a good review. And the grand scheme of things, it doesn't really matter because who gives a shit. But just like principle wise, it's like, especially if you have a following, it's not a good principle to follow, because I'm a big believer in karma. And it's like, if you do that, then maybe like you lose a toe in like 2 years or something.
Oh, people stop listening to you, right?
Dad's drinking bourbon there. They did a post in their story the other day, and they were talking about how many people, this on the flip side, how many distillers turned away from them in their podcast because they said, can we send you something? And they said, okay, can we be honest? Like when we taste it and say exactly what we think, and people pull away. So it's interesting on the flip side where like they want that exposure, they want that publicity. And they're like, well, if we're going to send you bottles, we kind of expect you to like blow the smoke and
yeah,
praise
those
us.
those people suck, but never buy the bottles. B, the way you do it is like, you don't even ask, can I be honest? You say, okay, send us bottles, we'll put you on the show. And then you kind of work your way around it. So you're still getting the free whiskey, but you can still be honest, but like not blow smoke, but also not be rude. That's how they should have done it, you know?
And people have different palates. Like there's lots of stuff I know people enjoy that I don't want to have in my glass ever. And it even comes down to like, there's such a niche group that we talk to on social media or in daily life that are drinking whiskeys that most people will never touch in their lives. And so like we could drink a whiskey and give it a 6 out of 10. To most people, that is an amazing pour. To us, it's like, because we've had 200, 300 different whiskeys to compare back on in our memory. It seems like a low score. And
I think sometimes there has to be that humbling, because like even myself, like I guess what I kind of like, the more I do what I do, it's like I'll throw out like tasting notes and sometimes here and there, but I'm not actually like full out reviewing shit. I'm kind of like, to me it's more of the experience. I'm watching this movie, here's some shit, I'm gonna draw a parallel, let's have fun. And people message me after and be like, should I buy this or this? I'm like, don't fucking buy that, like pick up this instead. And I feel like you need that honesty there, because like I feel like at the end of the day, like I'm not trying to, like when we talk about like influencer, like, you know, I'm gonna just show you my experience of having fun with it, and then from there do as you please. And if you DM me, I'll tell you the truth, like in what you should pick up. But like I feel like people take it way too serious, the whole like idea of influencing. I'm like, I watch fucking movies, I eat popcorn, I fucking drink whiskey. Like that's...
Dude, don't. If you call yourself an influencer, put on a vest with a bunch of zippers and take a hike. I've said that before.
But I feel like a lot of people don't, but they still think they are. I think that's the problem, is that like they'll say like,
who you influencing? You know what I mean? Like,
dude, I get there's a top 10 list.
That is true. Well, yeah. Well, listen, Zach. Yeah, I saw that. I was kind of like, ugh. But Zach, the guy who wrote it, he's been on the podcast. He actually put our podcast in like the top 15 podcasts you should listen to or some shit. But he's like one of the coolest dudes I've ever talked. He lives in fucking like Russia, right, or Germany right now. He's a badass. And but when I saw the title of that article, I was like, here we go.
Well, you know what? Like even that.
I'm surprised I'm surprised either of you guys weren't on it, to be honest. But I guess it was like an American thing, because like you had Uncle Jack on there, Hood Sommelier, makes sense. Yeah. Ryan obviously is on there. He's huge on TikTok. Great guy, both great guys. And there's a bunch of other people on there. Fred Minnick, of course. Yeah. You know, we can talk about that off air. But
it wasn't US only, because there was some European ones on there that don't have a great,
but even that, like I said, like either. I think like you know, again, it's one person curating a list, and like I feel like some people giving people on the list slack for like being on there, and I'm like, don't shit on people. Like they got chosen to be on a list. Like it's like what, because they just do what they do, like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, you don't get people hit you up before like, hey, do you want to be on this list? You say, yeah, for sure. Like, no, they just Zach just does it, because he's a talented writer and he follows the whiskey game very, very closely. So.
Yeah. And again, it's this whole idea of being too far in, right? Like someone on the outside who's like, as like kind of like more of the consumer position, they're going to be like, yeah, I want to see who I should be following. You know, once upon a time, before I got deep into it in like 2016, when I joined Instagram, I was like, who do I follow to figure out which whiskeys are good and stuff? Like I was in that position too when I was like a newbie to the game. So like, I just think that sometimes we need to kind of like draw back and remind ourselves of like, we've gone, basically the whole idea is we've gone too far. That's the theme, is that we just in proof, in knowledge, in everything, we've gone too far.
So let's pour this Alberta Premium Batch 3.
I haven't even drank the 22 or talked about it.
Oh, shit. I finished it, Darryl.
What'd you think of it? Because we haven't talked about it.
I saw a comment take out a lemon or a lime.
I off camera, I put like soda water and I put just the whiskey in it and I just squeezed a lime in it and drank it real quick.
Was it that lime bottle or whatever? He's just like,
yeah, it was just a little concentrated lime
cordial
juice
or whatever it is.
Yeah. But no, it was definitely my favorite of the three.
Yeah. I'm gonna agree with you on
the most flavorful of the three. I didn't get a lot of typical port character. I actually didn't get, now I think about it, really any port characteristics. There's a bit of a like a darker fruit note.
Yeah,
but it's not like
your note to it, but the rye still is.
The rye is still really prevalent. So is that like typical like. Is this what's the mash bill on this, Darryl? Do you know?
They don't massive distillery.
Is it like a rye mix
it's
like
rye
the
corn.
other one was? Right.
It's
so
rye
I got
corn,
a lot of corn on this one. I should say like a lot. It's almost like fruity corn, like a lot of corn, vanilla, almost like some maple syrup with a little bit of a fruit note to it, and then rye spice. It wasn't. Well, I didn't really get any port like dark raisin.
I got it more on the nose than anything. And even kind of going back into the glass, like when the glass is empty, I find you get a lot more of what's kind of lingering. And I feel like I do get the port there, but not so much on the palate.
Yeah, and we do put maple syrup in everything. So that's why.
That's a good point. I should have known that while Darryl grabs his next bottle. I should have known that like you put a beaver hair. You put a beaver hair in each bottle, and then just a little Salt Bay flick of
Salt Bay flick.
Speaking of Salt, what the hell happened to Salt Bay? Is he dead? Like what happened?
He probably cut somebody's ear off with his knife.
He I know he had like some high-end restaurant in like Turkey. Maybe just living that out. Maybe he just has his resort restaurant in Turkey.
You pay like $1,500 for a piece of cow. It was ridiculous. Oh, yeah. A cow. Can't believe it. Listen, exactly. I like steak more, just as much as the next guy. I love steak. If I could go on a carnivore diet, I would. But to pay $1,500 for it's for what is an experience with the Salt Bay. Nah, I'll cook a steak at home for $20.
I rarely order steak going out anymore because I can cook a great steak.
Yeah. I order steak if I know, like, there's a place in Westerly where I'm from called the Haversham, and they make a great, it's called a baseball steak, which is a side of fries, and it's just like probably $20.
That's a steak you're not buying from a store.
Exactly, and it's like it's just a good piece of meat. It's they always cook it well. I know it's gonna be solid, and I know it's not gonna break the bank. So I always get steak there. But like, I agree with you. I'll cook a steak myself. I told my brother the other day, because we have a fire pit at my parents' house, just like a cast iron base, like 20 years old. It's badass. And I was like, dude, we should just like get some grates, put it over the fire pit, and just cook our steaks on that. Why we turn on the grill?
Way to do it.
Just fucking put them on there, 10 minutes or however, 5 minutes each side, depending on how hot it gets, and we have steak. And plus, it's cooked with wood smoke and shit, not propane. I'm sure there's a difference. I know there's a difference. I've had so much steak like that. Yeah.
Yeah, we used to do that. We had a 10-acre property that we called Redneck Hideaway, and that's how every meal was cooked. Was like something would be swung out over the fire, a grate or a giant cauldron or something like that. And
it's nothing, dude. That alone will raise your testosterone by 10%,
at least.
Dude,
like just cooking meat over a grate is like.
Got to get Mike out of the city.
Your taint enlarges by 10% easily. Like just
your taint. You just call it a taint. Yeah. Wait, why your taint?
We jump back 15 years.
Wait. How does your taint grow? Isn't that the spot between your?
I would think it would get
your
smaller
wiener and your
balls got bigger. Okay. I don't know why. I don't know how we got here, but I mean, it's 4 drinks deep. So
because you said it. That's how we got here.
You
literally said it.
We're talking about the increase in testosterone, and there was a study that my buddy threw at me, and he was like joking because him and I talk the most shit, and he's like, "Dude, read this study." And actually, if I do his voice, I hope he listens to this. He's like. Yeah, listen, read this article. This is you in the article. And I'm like, what? And it was like the size of your taint dictates like how much natural testosterone you produce. And there was like studies about the size of taints. So
How does he know the size?
What exact? Wait. Am I thinking of something? Is a taint something else than I
it's
think
the
it
space
is?
between your ass and your balls. That's
Oh, okay. All
like
right.
that little strip there. That's the taint. But they were saying if you have a small taint, supposedly like you naturally are more of like beta. You don't have as much testosterone. You aren't like you don't produce as much natural testosterone. I don't know. There was a whole study on the size of taints, and he sent it to me. So here I am. You're like increase in testosterone on like size of taint, and I've been just having to explain.
Dude, what's a normal
taint
size taint?
But just think, somebody funded this study.
3 inches. Yeah. 3 inches is average, right?
If somebody
studied this and paid for it.
Yo, who's going to bed tonight and like putting their legs back with a measuring tape and like measuring their taint? Like who?
Me. Now I have to.
This episode's all over the place.
I'm gonna send you guys a picture too, just for science. I'll blur out the spots, but like for science purposes. Just for I'll blur out.
Send it to Mike. He's the one doing the study.
That's a good point. And I'll send Darryl like a reaction video of like, dude, you won't believe it. Just measured my taint. Mike will get the real deal, and Darryl will just get like the reaction video at the end because he doesn't want to see my taint, and that's actually kind of rude, but whatever.
I don't want to see it.
Before we go into the Alberta here, I remember like literally like the best is I have like a notepad where I always have like my ideas and I jot things down, and we were gonna do like this Canadian Takeover Part 2 that took a year, and I literally wrote down here. I said JP Weiser isn't Canadian, so he's from New York. So I was like, even the Canadian Takeover tonight is technically at the root of it American. That he was from New York and then moved to Ontario.
Makes sense.
As a businessman, yeah. So what I'm saying is we have nothing to stand on over here.
For bootlegging.
Well, you have the Alberta Premium.
I think it was for bootlegging purposes. Yeah. It was easier to bootleg.
By the way, this has the best nose of the 4, by the way.
So Connor, this stuff here is like literally our MGP. Like you're smelling like any like Whistle Pig. This is what we've talked about before. Whistle Pig, all of these big distillers or like non-distillers.
This is straight rye.
Yeah.
Classic rye right here.
Piggyback comes from Alberta Premium 10-year-old. The 12 isn't. That's MGP. I don't know if they're producing Boss Hog or not. So this one is batch 3. 63.7%, 100% rye. Batch 1 is the one that won Whiskey of the Year.
Dude,
this is a great blend between.
Wow.
I think Mike's going to send you down batch 1 and batch 2. If he does that, I'll send you more batch 3. And we can do a comparison of all 3. This is a great blend between batch 1 and batch 2. It's kind of right in the middle of the.
It really is, yeah.
Flavor gate.
This is straight, like this is so rye. This is just rye. Rye. Is it 100% rye?
100% rye. The benefit of Alberta, it's a dry climate, so they can make whiskey quickly, young, and at a high proof.
This is all like sweet baking spice. Like this is really good. Yeah. This is really good. I might be because I'm on my 4th whiskey right now, but this is really good.
No, but this is really good rye.
We see it like when these things pop up in the States, it's not to say again, like you're going to trust every account that's out there, but the same way the lot 40s took off with those like age stated releases, when the Alberta Premium cask strength hit, like listen, Alberta Premium is something that like you would find in like alcoholics cupboard, like the regular stuff. Like if you were to tell me years ago that like this would be something winning awards, because it was just like, no, you buy that big old jug of like Alberta Premium, they pump it out again, mass production to handle. But then all of a sudden they release this and it's like, again, this little like kind of like exposure and tease of like what Canada has and they're sitting on. And again, this is not necessarily going into craft, but it's like even the big players, it's like, no, if they want to release something at cask strength, there's some interesting stuff going on. And this is where like my whole point is that you see these popping up in these American accounts, and I have people messaging me too, like, oh, do you know if you can get more Alberta Premium? I can't find it by me. And usually if you see that kind of stir happening, you know you've done something right. So I feel like these releases have really created a buzz, and like rightfully so. It's really good stuff.
I've seen Alberta Premium is there a more standard offering that's kind of less?
Be a black label.
Yeah, that's the more standard offering, correct?
So
maybe that's
like
what they pump
that's
out
our bar rail stuff, right?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, that makes sense. But like I've seen that in some places, but I've seen the premium releases that are higher in proof.
Yep.
A couple times. I've always passed on them, but the next time I see one, I'm 100% gonna buy one, because this is like right off the cuff, at least top 5 rye I've ever had in my entire life. This is really good.
So the interesting thing is that Canada, because we are sitting on this, like, so I know even myself, where you kind of look at like what's in your backyard, right? So like I can get this, Darryl, what is this now? Like 75 or 80?
$80. Yeah, it was 70.
So it started off lower. Yeah, it started off at 70, and it became tough for a lot of like other stuff, even from the States coming up, and talking to like even people importing, and they're like, we can't bring in rye because how can you justify paying $120 for some craft rye from the States when I can go pay $70, $80 for something this good? And that's where it gets tricky, right? Is because like finally we're like, oh, here's something to be proud of. Like we have these Alberta Premium releases, and 1, 2, and 3, all phenomenal. Like I said, when I send it down, they all have their slight differences, but like all amazing. And for the price, like, come on.
Mm-hmm.
So to say you're going to go buy some import craft product over it, it's tough, right? Like when you have this kind of like sitting in your backyard, and then on top of it, you find out that this is what's being used in a ton of source stuff from the States in terms of like these ryes that are being released.
Yeah, it was interesting because batch 1 sat on Albertan shelves for almost a year.
Mm-hmm.
And then Jim Murray named it Whiskey of the Year, and you couldn't find it anywhere. Batch 2 came out, which is super hot.
Is like Jim Murray the Canadian Fred Minnick?
No, he does the Whiskey Bible. So if you look him up, he does whiskeys from all over the year, all over the world, and he gives, this is the Whiskey of the Year. Batch 2 came out, and it was like a cinnamon, maybe not a cinnamon bomb, but it was hot.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what went down to the States, and everybody kind of was like, this is good, but it's like fire water. Batch 3 came out. Not sure if it sold as well because of what batch 2 was, but batch 3 is probably the best of the releases because it's right.
Oh, it really is. It really is
right between the two of them. It's got the heat on it, but it's got all those rye flavors that we're missing in batch 2. Batch 2 really opens up with water. We'll get into that in another episode. But yeah, it shows just like, I think the 3 cast strengths we went through tonight show this is the quality Canada's producing, but we don't export any of our good stuff. We sit on it. Like, you guys don't get the good lot 40s. You guys don't get the good Alberta Premium, or it's very rare and it's very tough to find. You don't get the good Weisers. We send down our bar rail stuff. You guys have Canadian whiskeys that are being produced by Hiram Walker that makes JP Weisers and other stuff by Alberta Premium. We don't even know the names of because it's not sold.
Yeah, I see some of these names on the shelves and I'm like, what is that? Like, I've never heard of it in my life. And it's like Canadian whiskey that's like mass distributed in the States on your shelves. And I'm like, what is this stuff?
Yeah. So like, you guys aren't getting the best of what we create. We don't get the best of what you guys are creating.
Well, that's why you're here on this podcast, is because we need to discuss the best of what Canada is creating, which is why it's the Canadian Takeover Part 2, a year in the making.
That's right.
That's why you're here. That's why you're here.
So 2023.
It's like
2023
annual or semi-annual event.
2023, we will discuss what the craft distillers up here are doing.
As soon as some more samples get sent down, we'll make it happen, because honestly, this was like some of the most fun I've had recording in a very long time. This was such a fun conversation. And what I like about it the most is just like, I feel like the three of us have just like, we've just known each other. It feels like we're kind of like just close buds. Like we don't message all the time, but it's kind of like, we know it's like, hey, I'll get a message from, in the group chat with you guys at some point, or like I'll get a message from Darryl or you, Mike, or I'll message you guys just randomly, and just kind of like I remember, Mike, I tagged you in a story with the Halloween Ends trailer. I was like, dude, this is gonna make me cream in my jorts right now.
Oh,
and
buddy,
I tagged you. I was like, you're the first person I thought of.
My funny story. My wife woke up last night and like couldn't sleep, and I was on my phone and I was like in the corner and I was watching like videos about like conspiracies about what's gonna happen to Halloween Ends. She's like,
yeah,
what are you doing? And I'm like, I can't sleep. I'm watching Halloween Ends videos, and
how many people are gonna be wrong?
and of course, like she's like, okay, like that's you, like you, sure. And she like rolled over and went back to sleep, but no, but like speaking to that, like coming on tonight, I usually like when I do these lives and stuff, I'm like super like, as much as I want to be the casual guy, I like building up notes, I like doing all this stuff. And then like she was like, oh, like, do you have anything prepared for today? I'm like, I just want to hang out with these guys. I literally fucking have nothing. I just want to jump on, and like, sure, like everyone can kind of just tune into our hangout, but that's all it is just.
And I think I think the next time we do this, and I know we talked about this today, especially after this episode, we have to do like a live aspect to this where like we stream it on YouTube, because I think if people could have tuned into this conversation live, like when people listen to it tomorrow, I think they're gonna agree. Where it's like, if we could listen to this live on YouTube with the Zoom video and everything, then 1000% they would, because like we talked about everything under the sun. We talked about a lot of things.
Connor, you got a question? You put out questions today. Did you get a question before we wrap up here?
Oh yeah, I did. I don't remember who it was from, but it was just asking for our favorite whiskeys. That's all I was asking for.
Oh,
like it just said favorite whiskey. That's all I said.
Right now is still Boulder American Single Malt Peated Yeg Whiskey Nights barrel pick. I think it's 58.7% or something like that. I haven't tasted anything like it.
Darryl, by the way, so the last time we did the Canadian Takeover, I gave the rest of the peated expression of Lot 40. I gave it to my brother, and he same thing with me. He was like, dude, this is fucking sick. And he doesn't even like Scotch.
Yeah.
If you guys are into, I'm going to plug this right here, but like, so this Lost Lantern, the McCarthy's, I don't know if you can see it there.
Yeah, I guess it. Yeah.
Okay. So this here.
Oh, McCarthy's. Yeah. That's the, from Oregon, right?
Yeah. So the other night I had Campfire, the Lot 40, and then this, and I'm like, you guys need to try this. I'll send you a sample. Like when I send out the fucking Alberta premiums, this is something that's like on steroids. Like it's just so good. And I wish I could like actually grab, like, I mean, maybe you have access to it. Like, I'd like to try McCarthy's other stuff. Like I know they usually don't put out cask strength. This is like 55.6. But yeah, this here, it's like, if you like that profile that we did with the Lot 40, then that's one you want to pick up. Like that's become like a bottle where I'm like, I wish I had two, because it's just they're barrels, right? So it's just the one-off release. Yeah. I'm like, I'm gonna like sit on that one for a long time.
Yeah. Well, I'm the old guy, so while you guys start to wrap this up, I'm going to the washroom. Or bathroom, or whatever you call it in the States.
Well, yeah, we don't call it the washroom. No, we'll wrap it up now. It is getting a little late. So if you guys want to, before you go empty your old bladder, Darryl, if you guys want to,
it's the problem
kind of plug. I know, it must suck being 62. I can't believe it.
64 now.
Wow. Dude, if you were 64, you'd be the best looking 64-year-old.
It's true. I would be.
If you guys just want to quickly plug, everyone knows where to find you, but plug where they can find you guys and what you guys are doing.
Yeah, pretty much on Instagram as Whiskey Sith. That is whiskey with an E. A little bit of TikTok, but not very active on there. And that's the best place to find me, is Instagram. That made no sense.
So I'm just solely on Instagram technically right now, but spooky season's coming. There's a few things in the works. You might see me pop up on other platforms, so stay tuned and we'll see what happens there. But
Spooky.
some interesting things with the spooky world. But
Mike, every time I think of spooky season, I do think of you, by the way, because I know you and I did a podcast on Who Gives a Dram last spooky season, and we'll do this again.
I got sentimental because I was thinking about, like, I literally, again, the way I am, I start plotting, like, what do I want to do in October? Because it feels a lot of pressure on me, man. Like, and it was good
now
because
it is,
no, but it was good because, like, people like you and Eric, who are friends of mine, reached out to me and were like, dude, this is your month. Let's do something together. Mm-hmm. And this is what kind of like created that momentum into like what I do now. So kudos to you for, like I said, you and Eric taking my my online interview podcast Virginity. And,
I think like and shout out if Eric is listening to this at this point in the podcast, it's been like an hour and a half probably. Shout out to you, Eric, you're the best. But like I feel like we were like your we were like your Jedi masters. Not just in terms of like we were like Mike, you need to spread your wings. You need to do this. And now look at you. So not saying I want credit, but just like, if you ever get paid, give me like
my whole point 2%. Is that like
I would say you guys were the launch pad.
Yeah,
definitely.
And in my calendar, I literally wrote like Connor. I think your name has like a question mark beside it because I'm like, we'll probably let's do like we'll watch Halloween Ends and then we'll do it again.
Yeah, that's a great idea. We'll do the Canadian takeovers. Obviously, I would, surprisingly enough, I know it's taken a year to come by. I would like to do this much more frequently because it's fun. And I already do enough with Bourbon with Friends. I want Who Gives a Dram to be fun as well. I don't want it just to be me talking into a camera. So we'll plan something for the near future. It won't be a year before we do Canadian Takeover Part 3. But we'll link up for Halloween season. Darryl, you and I are gonna link up for, I don't know, whatever again.
Closest is Andor, I think. It's like Star Wars
we could do a Star Wars release. Yeah, that would be a great idea. That'd be a super good idea. Because I saw the images. They didn't release a trailer, did they?
Trailer came out yesterday.
Okay, I gotta watch it. I haven't seen it, but I saw the images and I saw the post and I was like, dude, this looks sick. Love it.
Could be, yeah.
But anyways, we'll wrap it up. Thank you both for coming on the show. This was super fun. This was a very, very fun time. If everyone's listening still, thank you for tuning into the conversation, for the shenanigans. We'll do this again soon. At
during
Whiskey
our
Morgue.
nonsense.
Yes. At Whiskey Morgue, at Whiskey Sith. I'll put them both in the show notes. Make sure you follow these two guys. They're two of the best Instagram accounts you can follow. And always remember, whiskey's the water of life. So let's start living.